All right, the Rebbe is continuing talking about the GEULA, the future redemption, which the Rebbe wants it to be not future, to be right here. Okay, and the Rebbe is trying to pound it into our hearts and into our heads, not just to pound it, but to slip it into our heads, like it says that the Moshiach will kofeh, he will force the whole world to walk in the ways of God. The Jews, first of all, the Jews. He'll force the Jews. What do you mean force? By convincing, by putting out ideas. That's Moshiach. So what are these ideas that's supposed to be? That's just what we finished learning now, the importance of realizing the reality of what God is, the total importance. And except for that, really, everything else is just a shadow. The importance of God, the reality of God. Oh, God is creating us. But even more so, to realize how important we are, how real we are, how fresh the world is, how miraculous every instant is, how challenging and wonderful life is, and how we have potential to overcome all obstacles and not let the obstacles get us into depression and aggression and confusion and jealousy and all these other things, lust, and but to transform the whole thing. Okay, so says the Rebbe, that's the whole idea of the future redemption. And in order to bring this future redemption, we do not have to change the world. You don't have to destroy anybody or kill our enemies or conquer countries or get rid of all the non-religious people or doom everyone that doesn't think exactly like us. No. All we have to do is just add. The big problem of the world is education. People simply don't know. People simply don't know. Of course, there's always going to be people, the Nazis or whatever, and that they're against God, they're against the Torah, they're against the Jews, they're against everything. Okay, God will deal with these people, but there'll be very, very few. Very, very few. Most of these people, even the anti-Semites, etc., they're only that way because somebody told them that that's the thing to do. They don't know any different. They genuinely think they're serving God, right, by doing whatever they do, all these, rituals and processes and hating the Jews. They think that this is a good thing. That's what the crooked leaders teach them. But eventually this whole thing is going to, by education. So that's the Aleph. That's the Aleph. You have to take the word GEULA, which means exile, and put an Aleph into it. Aleph simply means being aware of something more real and more good than you are, the creator. So that's the first level. There's 3 levels of this Aleph. Aleph means that there's a creator of the world, Alufo Shalom. That God is the king of the universe. This world is not a jungle. That there's a creator and God creates everything, and you're not alone. You're never alone. You never will be alone. God is always with you. God cares about you. But you have to adjust your mind to feel this. You have to adjust your mind. That's the first. Number 2 is an Aluf Chachma, Torah. There's a purpose in the world. The world was created with right and wrong, to know that God cares about what you do and what you think and what you say, and He's encouraging you to do the right thing, say the right thing. That's the Torah. The Torah is already above the world. And then there's the 3rd level, which is called Pele, to realize the miracle, the miraculousness, the pure godliness, which is in the Torah, which is in the world, which is in you. That's the 3 levels of Aleph. The Aleph. Alufu Shalom, that God is the king of the world. Aleph HaChachma, God teaches us wisdom, that's the Torah. And Pele, the whole world is a big miracle. And this, just adding these 3 things into the world, this already changes the world. This already changes the world. And you can just take a simple example, right? We Chabad people, we go on the streets, mostly on Fridays, and we ask people to put on tefillin. Sometimes you bring a stand, whatever, put tefillin, and you would just be amazed. I'm amazed even now that there's people that are totally non-religious, anti-religious, and they say, okay, and they put on tefillin, and they say, I've never put on before in my life. I see that you believe it. 3 weeks ago, somebody said to me, he said, no way. And he said, I see that you believe in this. I said, yeah. I said, okay, so I believe in it too. I'll put on. Right? And what does it mean putting on tefillin? You put a box on your arm, put a box on your head. You say Shema Yisrael. The whole thing takes 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? That's all. And why would a Jew want to do a thing like that in public? Because Jews want to serve God, but they have to be offered. They have to be offered the opportunity. They have to be educated, right? Just okay. Here we go. Now we're going to talk about a subject which is really going to be relevant just in a month from now. But like I was saying before, this speech that the Rebbe made, he made it in a what's called a regular year, that there's only 12 months in the regular year. The year that we're in now is 13 months. So as a result, everything is sort of lagging behind. It's all lagging behind. So, okay, when the Rebbe was saying this was near the holiday of what's called Lag BaOmer. Lag BaOmer. Just a little bit of background information over here. Lag BaOmer. What is Lag BaOmer? Lamed Gimel Lamed is 30, and this is 3. Gimel is 3. The 33rd day of the Omer. Remember we talked about this, that between Passover and the holiday of Shavuot, there's 50 days. And there's a commandment to count 49 of these days. 7, that's the holiday. Shavuot means the holiday of weeks. How do they call it in the Feast of Weeks? Because it's 7 weeks. So there's a commandment to actually count each one of the days. In the time of the temple, they brought a offering of barley. In this week's Torah portion, we're talking about it. Barley, and that bundle of barley was called an Omer. Omer means a bundle. So they count all the days from the Omer. Well, the 33rd day of counting this Omer, which means it's only like 17 days away from the holiday of Shavuot. The 33rd day of counting this Omer was the day that Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai passed away, about 1,800 years ago, something like that, 900 years ago. Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai. Who was Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai? Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai, he wrote a book which is called the ZOHAR. He wrote a book which is called the ZOHAR. Every year, on the date of his passing, which is Lag BaOmer, which is the 33rd day of the Omer, as they go up to his grave, about 500,000 people. It's packed. Last year, there was a terrible tragedy that happened over there. People trampled each other. Very rare thing that happened. Some sort of a big mistake that there was a mix-up of orders or something, and a group of people went down this ramp and they fell, and people fell on it. Anyway, it was terrible. But it's a big drawing, so it didn't stop people from coming. People now, who is this Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai? Why are they going there? What is the promise? You go to Rebbe Shimon. What do you get out of it? Going to Rebbe Shimon. It's not a religious thing. It's not written in the Torah. It's not written in the rabbis. It's not written. There's no commandment whatsoever to go up to Rebbe Shimon. There's no promises. You go up to Rebbe Shimon and you go to heaven. You go to Rebbe Shimon and all of it. No. The whole year, if you go up to Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai, it's a grave where he's buried. It's considered to be a holy place. Okay, who was Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai? Rebbe Shimon bar Yochai, he was in a very big way. He was like the father of the secrets of the Torah, revealing the secrets of the Torah. The secrets of the Torah were always known, but he revealed secrets of the Torah in this book called the ZOHAR. There's a lot of non-religious Jews that have all these theories about somebody else, Moses de Leon or somebody that's a lie. It's not so. No matter how many proofs they bring, it's not so. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, he was the Holy of Holies. He was the Holy of Holies. Even in his generation, he was a pupil of Rabbi Akiva. Even in his generation, he was the holiest of all of them. And this is in the generation of the what's called the Tanaim. These people, they had the ability to raise the dead. They could bring rain. And among them, Rabbi Shimon was the holiest of the holy. And his whole thing of being holy was to reveal the importance of the physical world, to reveal what a Jew is, what the Torah is, what the commandments are, like we're learning in the Chassidut. He brought these ideas down in the Zohar. Now, the Zohar is a book which is it's a Kabbalistic book, but it's not that difficult to understand. Not that difficult. You'll see there's a few words you have to have explained to you, but there's even translations in English. Right, there's translations which are not really bad translations. Actually, they're pretty, accurate. really, that was one of the reasons why I became religious. The fact is, I can tell you a short way. I want to do this, but I'll tell you the short way that I was becoming religious. I just finished university and everything, and I realized there must be God. I realized there has to be God, and how exactly it is. There must be some sort of a directions how to get to God. So I looked into all these Eastern religions, very interesting, but it just seemed like a big ego trip. Just into it for yourself. You're going to get these levels and revelations, and you have to have what you're going to receive and I'm going to receive, and then enlightenment and this. So that I didn't go for that. Then I saw the Gospels. Ooh, the Gospels, this is pretty good. Then I don't know if you know it, but there is what's called mystical Christianity. There's the Rosicrucians and there's all these people. Anyway, so I was reading these books. Ooh, I got really interested. And I had a good friend that had an occult bookstore. I read, ooh, this is really spacey stuff. And he's always bringing that the truth is the Bible, the Bible, the Bible, the Bible. So once in a while, this guy who writes the book, I don't want to go into too much of the book. He says that the Bible we have now is not the real Bible. It's not the same Bible as the Jews got back then. But the people that wrote the Zohar, that's what this guy in this Christian book writes. Called the Rosicrucian Cosmo-conception. Anyway, so he says, the people that wrote the Zohar, they had the real Torah. So I figured, well, anyway, I went to the library, the Wayne State University library, as I remember, and I went to the Jewish section, and there was Jewish mysticism. There was only 5 books. It was called the Zohar, a translation of the Zohar. I took it home. I started reading. I compared. The Zohar is a midrash, so there was sentences, and then mystical explanations, sentence and mystical. So I said, one second, these sentences, I had a Bible from my grandfather. That's another story. I said, well, these sentences in the Zohar are the exact same sentences that are in my Bible. The sentences that the rabbis of the Zohar have is the exact same Bible that I have over here. Hey, this is not a different Bible. That's not right. So I threw all of the other books I had away. I threw them all away. I realized this is a big fake out. Somehow or other, Judaism is true, and these people are trying to hide it from us. The whole world is. So I started reading the Zohar book, and I didn't understand anything. It was talking about the soul, different levels of the soul, and how Abraham corresponds to this level of the soul, and Isaac this level of the soul, different levels of love, and God, all these aspects of God with the crown of God. So I thought, this is pretty interesting stuff. This is pretty wild stuff, And that was really what got me into ideas of that Judaism is much deeper and more real and misunderstood than anybody possibly can imagine. And here I am, I'm a Jew. Why? This is relevant to me. So that's the idea of Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai, he is the father of the soul, revealing the soul of Judaism. He's buried in the city of Meron. And like I say, about 500,000 people go up there in the whole course of the year. I read just the other couple of days ago that it's the most popular tourist site in Israel, even more than the wall, more than the Kotel. The Kotel, I don't know if that's true or not, but for sure it's second. But the Kotel is, it's beautiful, it's impressive, it's ancient, it's historical. It's a center of Israel. The wall. Who doesn't want? Jerusalem, this religion says it belongs to us, it belongs to you, or this and that, right? The holy center, and this is where the big mosque is, and Jerusalem for sure, right? What's in Meron? Nothing, absolutely nothing is there. There's a grave of Rabbi Shimon, there's no big sign or anything like that, and here he is in a big picture, you go there and you feel lights. Absolutely nothing is there, just this holy man is buried there. The guy died 1,800 years ago. So we see that tzaddikim don't really die. Okay, so this is the day of the passing away of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi means the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. There was the revelation of the inside of the Torah. That's the main revelation, was on the day that he passed away. The Idra Zutra says Idra Rabbah. Nishmasa the Nishmasa, that was the soul of the Torah. Penimiut Sodot, the inner secrets which were revealed in the course of his life, right, that he revealed to himself, whatever, as the whole thing came out in one big bundle on the day that he passed away. Ad, right, he revealed this to all the people standing around. Ad Shali de Kativ at the Elu, that when these things were written down in the book of the Zohar, the book, the Zohar, was written in the course of the time when Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai was hiding from the Romans. He was hiding from the Romans 13 years, and in that time he wrote the Zohar. But the two big secrets, there's what's called the Edra Zutra, the small room and the big room, that he wrote on the day that he passed away. Harizen Nidgal, this was revealed afterwards by means of the Jewish people and by advertising. Gilei Bechinas Niflos, to reveal the wonders which are in the Torah, Chachma Bina Medas, especially in Chassidut. This will be revealed in the streets to everybody in the future. It's just giving us a preview of what's going to be in the future. Advertisement. The Nosaf Lazeh, in addition to the fact that, right, so Rabbi Shimon was advertising what is going to be revealed to everyone through Moshiach. The wonders of the world, God revealed in the world. The Nosaf Lazeh, in addition to this, Rabbi Shimon also wrote not only in secrets of the Torah, but also revealed Torah. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is one of the most mentioned rabbis in the Mishnah and in the Talmud. Rabbi Shimon, right? That was his specialty. Usually there were big rabbis that they were experts in mysticism. And then there were big rabbis that they were big experts in law. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he was expert in everything. Yeshlom, we can say that in the Torah itself, the revealed part of the Torah and the inner part of the Torah, this is like the difference between the Aleph that we just finished learning, putting the Aleph into the world. From Ulpana, means think, teaching, Limud, that's intellect, and Aleph, the letters of miracle. This is the essence of consciousness. Rabbi Shimon joined together these two together. The revealed Torah, that's like the Aleph Chachma, and Pella, that's the inner secrets of the Torah. Rabbi Shimon joined them both together. Yeshlom, we can say that in this ability, Gam, Natan HaKoach, he also gave the ability to reveal godliness in the world. Kamaimer, like it says, Hayudua Shalom, like the known saying of Rabbi Shimon. Okay, so what do we say? There's three Alefs. The first one is there's the king of the world. God is the king of the world. There's the Torah, and then there's miracles. Rabbi Shimon joined together the Torah and miracles, and because of that, he was able to reveal also in the world, in the physical world, like the known saying of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Tanya, we learned in a Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Omer said, Kol Makom Shagol Yisrael, wherever the Jewish people were brought into exile, Shechina Imohem, God's presence is with them. Gola Labavel, the Jewish people, the first temple was destroyed. They went to Babylon. Shechina, the God's presence was with them. The second temple was destroyed. They went into exile. What's called Edom. The Shechina went with them. Zotameret, in other words, Shagam Biyotem, that the Jewish people, even when they are in Babylon, exile, GEULA. Remember, we learned that the whole thing the Rebbe brought from the Megillah, from the Gemara, that the Beit HaMikdash is going to fly to New York and it's going to bring the Rebbe brought proofs for everything from the Torah. Nevertheless, wherever the Jewish people are in exile, GEULA, the Shekhinah, God's presence, is with them. That's the Aleph in the GEULA. In other words, the potential for redemption is with them. Alder says similarly, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said in the whole world, not just by the Jewish people. Like he said, Rabbi Shimon said, Yochol ani liftor et ha'olam kula min hadin. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, I can exempt the whole world from any severities, any difficulties. There's a plague in the world, Rabbi Shimon can fix it up. There's a war, Rabbi Shimon can fix it up. Shu yochol liftor et kol ha'olam miloshen helem, the Hester, from a din. He can take any severities, any strict judgments that have been brought on the world, all the sinners and everything, and Rabbi Shimon can evaporate them all, including the exile. We can attach this to what it says that in Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer, like we said, this is every day we count a different sphere of God. The first week we count the 7 aspects of Chesed. The second week the 7 aspects of Gevura. The third week the 7 aspects of Tiferet, and Netzach, and then finally Hod. The 5th week, Hod, And this, what are the 7 aspects of Hod? There's Chesed of Hod, Gevurah of Hod, and finally there's Hod, which is in Hod. That's the day Lag BaOmer always comes out. Hod means giving thanks or surrender. Shemarames ala inyan, you know, like you really thank somebody, you bow down a little bit. Thank you very much. It means you're admitting to the person that you need him, that he really helped you, saved you. That's Hod, Hodah. This is what's called surrender. Surrender of surrender. What does that mean? It means that when you don't understand something, somebody comes into the room, right? And you don't understand what he's talking about. It comes Albert Einstein, biggest genius in the world. Let's hear his lecture. He starts talking, nobody understands a word he's saying. But you know that the guy's a big genius, and you know that what he's saying has to be true. So everybody's sitting there and they're shaking their heads, yes, right? He says, do you understand? Oh, yes, everybody understands, right? That's called Hoda'ah. You don't understand nothing, but you surrender yourself. You say, I admit that you're right. I don't understand anything. What's Hod Shebahod? Means that I don't even know how far away I am, right? I don't even know how far away I am from this true knowledge, but I'll say, okay, it's not, I don't even understand. I don't even understand what he's talking about. But nevertheless, I say, I admit that you're the smartest. Hod Shebahod means that God is creating me. I have no idea what that means. In fact, I don't even know what it means that I don't know. Right? It's not like I don't know what mathematics is. I can learn it. Right? I can learn it. I don't know what Einstein is saying, but I can learn. Here it's saying I don't know what God is creating in me, and I can't even learn it. It's impossible to. It's not a thing that's understandable. But nevertheless, I'm connected to it. That's called Pella. I surrendered, and I double surrender. That's above any sort of understanding. That's what Rebbe Shimon brought into the world. He explained godliness in such a way that we realize we have absolutely no idea what we're talking about. We have no idea what God is, but we know it's real. And we know that it's infinitely good. That's what Rebbe Shimon brought into the world with his secrets. Umizeh nimshach afterwards into the letter Aleph, which Aleph, that's Pella. That's the highest level of the Aleph. And then it brings down also to Aleph, language of teaching, Havana Vasaga. That's this whole idea of Hod Shebahod. This is the end of all of the main sphirot of the body. What's called the body of God, that's the main 5 sphirot of God. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, and Hod. Hod is the body of God. Outside of that, that's what's called Yesod. Yesod, that's already corresponding to man. That's the organ of procreation. That's going outside already. So the lowest level of the body of God, if you want to call it, is Hod. And within Hod itself, Hod Shebahod. In other words, what? Shekolel, this includes all of the 10 aspects of God. And even the lowest level, Malchut of Malchut. This is drawn down, including also drawing down, we said mochin, drawing down awareness of God, the awareness of the infiniteness of God, the awareness of the, the impossibility of conceiving what God is. This is drawn down into our emotions as well. Remember that said, the 4 things? Ezehu, who was a chacham, who was a gibor, who was an osher, who was rich, who was honorable. 4 things we learned before. We said chacham, that's chacham, and gibor is bina, understanding. That's what Rebbe Shimon was. He was the lowest, the most inclusive aspect of the inside of God. This is the sphere achamishit, what's called the 5th sphere of godliness, that it hints at what's called chamishit laparo. This includes all of the aspects which are above it. Isprio, and paro means a bad thing, right? But paro also means to be revealed. Priya is galim emin nohorim, the revelation of all of the level of perua, revelation of all the deep inner secrets of God. That's above the whole entire creation. That's Pella. And this is what Rebbe Shimon brought into Seder Kavua in an orderly way. In other words, what is the purpose of this Kabbalah? is not to influence people and to impress the crowds, and that I know what Panemius Bina is, and Chachma, and Atzilus, and Ak, and all these things. By talking about all this is to be connected to God. This is to reveal the infinite diversity of God and the infinite complexity of God, but also the depth, infinitely, infinitely, infinitely deep, until finally levels which are just incomprehensible. It's impossible to comprehend. And Rebbe Shimon brought this into reality. That's the greatness of Rebbe Shimon. He brought the secrets of the Torah into reality, even if that reality means that I realize that I can't understand this, but at least there's a thing, there's whatever you want to call it, a godliness that I can't understand. At least I'm relating to God. That's the whole idea of Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. From Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai was drawn down revelation of the inside of the Torah and all the generations afterwards, until finally, like 400 years ago, was the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. And then it became a mitzvah to reveal this. That afterwards came the big revelation, that's by means of the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid of Mezrich, to take these ideas and to, make them acceptable, understandable, practical. That's the idea of Chassidut, to bring Moshiach, and Moshiach will bring these ideas of the oneness of God into the physical world. Even more, by means of the first Rebbe of Chabad, that we just finished learning his Maimer, right? And the rabbis which filled his place, learning the inside of the Torah in a way of Chachma, Bina, and Dat. Hafatzat ha'mayanot chutza, to spread out the well springs, the source of awareness, the source of life, the source of wisdom, out. Hechel mechutza ba'adam, beginning by the external part of a person, namely thought, speech, and action, until even in the world. Me'ayin, something like revealing the revelation of godliness, which will be in the future redemption. And that's the whole idea of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And let's just do this one more, and then we'll. And it's also by means of our rabbis, the people who took over the job from the Alter Rebbe, from the first Rebbe, from generation to generation until the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. He's the leader of our generation, previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, until the Gilui Panimis of Torah, that he revealed the inside of the Torah, until my generation, says the Rebbe. The revelation of godliness in our generation, adding from generation to generation more and more and more revelation, even the handwritten, things that were handwritten by the Rebbes that were really revealed now. Secrets of the Torah in a way that become practical to each and every one of us, as we will talk about, God willing, and finish tomorrow. Now let's just learn the Yom Yom. Yom Yom for today. Today at 3 o'clock, we will learn the Chumash. Interesting, the end of this week's Torah portion. And Pirkei Avot. Now we started learning Pirkei Avot also. Here we go. It is possible to utilize all of your personality for serving God according to the Torah. This includes even negative qualities, anger, depression, even things that are evil, destructive. Take an example. You can learn everything in the world, you can learn something to serve God. For instance, Zusha Anipoli, he was a good friend of the first Rebbe of Chabad. He wrote an approbation in the Tanya. He said, I can learn a number of ways to serve God from a thief. From a thief, you can learn how to serve God. How? Thief is a terrible thing. You ever get, God forbid, a house get broken into? Oh, it's a terrible feeling. Especially if the thief succeeds, he steals things you worked hard from. Terrible feeling, awful to be a thief. And the thief gets no blessing from the money that he gets either. Just wrecks everything, makes everybody feel bad. And nevertheless, you can learn how to serve God from a thief. A thief uses his energies and talents to do bad. You can use those same energies and talents to do good. For instance, a thief works quietly without anyone knowing. Doesn't have to advertise what he does. Doesn't even want other people to know what he's doing. Number two, a thief is willing to endanger himself. To serve God, you're willing to endanger yourself. To spread Judaism. Number three, a thief pays attention to details. The smallest detail is of great importance to him. Right? Is there a surveillance camera? What time of the day is it? Is there a guard there? Is a dog in the room? Fourth thing, a thief puts tremendous effort into what he does. Number five, learn 7 things, right? Number 5, a thief is quick, alacrity. He's, lively. He's never sluggish. Breaks into somebody's house and never says, take it easy for a while. No, he's worked quickly. He doesn't want to get caught. And finally, that's number 5. Number 6, he's confident. He's optimistic, right? He's breaking into somebody's house. He's optimistic he's not going to get caught. He's optimistic he's going to be successful. He's confident and he's optimistic. Also, we have to be confident and optimistic for good things. If for bad things, you could be optimistic. How much for good things? To be confident and optimistic. And finally, if he doesn't succeed the first time, he tries again and again. That's what a thief is. Right? The first time the bell goes off, the alarm goes off, and so he escapes, he tries it again. Tries again and again to make it. 7 things you can learn from serving from a thief on how to serve God. Work quietly, be willing to take risks, pay attention to details, put in a lot of effort, be quick, lively, optimistic, and persevere. If you don't succeed the first time, succeed again and again. And my teacher, Rabbi Mendel Futterfass, said that Zusha Reni Poli said this because he must not have spent a lot of time in prison. But if he would have spent a lot of time in prison, my teacher's name was Rabbi Mendel Futterfass, right? So he spent like 5 years, 7 years, whatever it is, in Siberia. And before that, he was in Russian and Stalin's places. He said, if you would have spent a lot of time in prison, you could know that you can't learn 7 things from a thief. You can learn thousands of things from a thief. As we'll talk about more, God willing, at 3 o'clock. Have a good day with Moshiach now. Hope to see you all at 3 o'clock to learn the Chumash.